So we begin. I'm Tom Munson. I'd like to welcome you here to the museum for History at High Noon, Sioux City Journal photographs from the 1970s. Just a little bit about the Sioux City Journal photograph collections that the museum holds. So back in 2007, we went and picked up about 1,035mm negatives from the Sioux City Journal. These encompass dates from 1972 to 2003. And these are the negatives, the images that we're going to be looking at today. Now, since that donation, between 2014 and 2023, the Journal has made several other donations to us, including 10,000 CDs and DVDs containing an estimated 2 million born digital photographs. So that is, those have actually partially been indexed already. So that is a future History at High Noon topic. Between 2001 and 2021, George Newman negatives have been slowly coming into the museum. Right now we have about 14,000 medium and large format negatives between 1945 and 1954. Back in 2016, Larry Meyer, who was a reporter and photographer with the Journal, donated 13,000 35mm negatives dating between 1972 and 1987. And then in 2017, another Journal photographer and reporter, Bob Davis, donated about 35,000 35mm negatives dating between 1972 and 1984. And of course, longtime Sioux City Journal photographer Ed Porter, in addition to the hundreds of thousands of his images that are in our regular Sioux City Journal collection, he's independently donated about 1,500 negatives dating between the late 1960s and the 1990s. So that's just a little bit about the Journal photograph holdings we have. But again, what we're going to be looking at today are these images that were donated back in 2007. We have been working on scanning and indexing these now for about 14 years. We started this in 2011. We've had, on all of these projects, we've had probably nearly a dozen volunteers working, volunteers and interns working on making these indexes and doing these scans. One volunteer is with us today. I won't point him out, but he's been here and he's been with us since the very beginning working on this project. So thank you very much. So saying that, I think we should take a look at some of these. What do you say? Yeah. All right. We'll start in 1974. Tim Alano of Sioux City, a patient at St. Vincent Hospital, gets an Easter basket early when Peter Cottontail, played by Gordon Leibowitz, visited him on Saturday. So members of the Post 337 of the Jewish War Veterans of the United States were hopping around Sioux City Hospital giving Easter candy to youngsters. A little bit about some of these slides. When you see the captions I have, these are taken directly from the captions that appeared in the Sioux City Journal. If they don't have it, it means the image did not appear in the paper, so I had to make something up. So just so you get a little idea of how that is all working out. And photographers are listed if I know them. Many of these images just appeared in the paper with the word staff photographer, so I don't know exactly which one of the 3 or 4 photographers it was. So that is an explanation for that. Moving along, we have Celebrating Syttende Mai. This is from 1974. Ragna Vixten, Mrs. Warren Searles, and Ethel Jackson don their Norwegian clothing for Norway's Independence Day celebration here in Sioux City. That was sponsored by the the Sioux Viking Lodge of the Sons of Norway. This is an image that did not appear in the paper. This is an image of American Auto Parts taken in 1973. This is Leonard Falk, Secretary and Treasurer of American Auto Parts at the corner of 4th and Floyd Boulevard, showing off some of his new merchandise. During the construction of the building we're in now, which used to be a JCPenney store, there was trouble. There were strikers on the job in September of 1974. Picket lines were set up this weekend by the local 427 of the Labor's International Union of North America, protesting Sioux City Engineering's alleged failure to pay established wages on pouring the sidewalks around this building. This photo was by George Johnson. Big Wally Hilgenberg of the Minnesota Vikings was here in Sioux City signing autographs. The two youngsters here are Jared and Jody. They were children of Mr. and Mrs. Kurt Vanderloo of Merrill, Iowa. You know, I took some opportunities because I know some of the people in these images, or I know their relatives, and if I did that, I used them. So I know Kurt and Marlene Vanderloo up in Merrill, so these are their kids, so I thought this was really fun for them. The XXX Forum Theater was picketed by 40 members of the Billy Sunday Memorial Tabernacle. Curtis Williams gave no comment. He was owner of the theater, but gave no comment other than the group was totally within their rights to picket. These Sioux City Journal photographer images also include a lot of advertisements, and I use some of these in this program. So the personnel at Zales, the former Crescent Jewelry at 5th and Pierce, extend a hearty welcome to people of Siouxland to come and browse through their selection of china, silver, and crystal. Sioux City's first Oktoberfest and Sioux City's Oktoberfest Queen, Vera Bierman, was presented as Queen of the Day during Sioux City's first Oktoberfest. Also pictured here are Chester and Mrs. Jablonski. Chester was president of the Sioux City German Club. This was a 12-hour event held at the Municipal Auditorium. This photograph was by Cal Stickle. A giant cottonwood tree, Dean Chapman's cottonwood tree in Country Club. He's stretching a tape around it, the trunk measuring 16 feet, leading an unspecified local tree expert to guess that tree's age between 90 and 120 years. That tree is about to come down. A new muffler shop in Sioux City. 1974, Smitty's Mufflers has moved into this new building at the corner of 5th and Virginia Street across from its former headquarters. Richard Smith, a Sioux City native, moved back to Sioux City from Anaheim, California, and opened his muffler shop here in 1970. In this image, taken on the 4th Street Mall, firemen are showing off some of their new equipment, including this snorkel truck on the 4th Street Mall. Firemen in the 85-foot high platform show how the truck can be used for out-of-reach points. This photo by Cal Stickle. The mystery painting. So this is I use quotes here, Sioux City's oldest dwelling by Alice Bard. This painting was anonymously donated to the Art Center. The Art Center director Peggy Paris said, "We'd like to know who brought it in so we can thank them." As a note, this is the Turner Octagon House at 108 Perry Street. It is kind of among Sioux City's oldest houses, having been built in 1880. And of course, it's an iconic octagon house on Prospect Hill. Here we have Dr. Thomas Thompson and Robert Lincoln dedicating the Lincoln Center on the Morningside College campus. Lincoln, of Iowa Falls, Iowa, was head of Payless Cashways and was a 1960 Morningside College graduate. Here we have some Heelan debaters showing off their second place trophy from the Fort Dodge Invitational. They are front row, Mike Streck, Linda Hewitt, Deirdre Boyle, Annette Kennedy. And back row, you'll see Sandy Gall, Tim Botero, Mark Schumacher, and Chris Freeman. Here we have another ad for Miller Brothers and their 20th anniversary, just showing off the highlight of 1970s fashion, which, don't get me wrong, I appreciate 1970s furniture. My house is still full of it. This distinctive Miller Brothers look is exemplified here in a dining room reflecting the subtle and timeless allure of Mediterranean design, crafted with excellence throughout a pecan with brass accents. You can save $300 on this set in 1974. This is a groundbreaking for the First Assembly of God Church near the intersection of Indian Hills Drive and Outer Drive. This photo taken by Cal Stickle. Interestingly, the church was not built in this location, even though the groundbreaking seems indicated that it might be. Boy, were these dramatic headlines. Where Death Struck. So this is in South Sioux City. Russell Smith, who was working for Standard Ready Mix, fell into their rock bin, apparently had suffered a heart attack, and here we have the South Sioux Rescue Squad removing him from said rock bin. This photo by Cal Stickle. And what's up? Apparently it's the tower of First Presbyterian Church. Cal Stickle captured this image where workmen are not working, but they are repairing First Presbyterian's clock tower, which had suffered some water damage. They were expecting about a $75,000 project to take from November until about the end of the year. This is the Morningside Chiefs hammering the Westmar Eagles 104-74. In this image, Morningside College's Herb McMath leaps above Westmar's Denny Harms to help capture the 104-74 victory at Ali Gym. And then some of you may have seen this image advertising this program. This is North turning back west, 80-71 in December 6th of 1974. West High School's Jim Tillman moves in to block North High's Dennis Wilson. This is another Cal Stickle photograph. Jim Tillman has been very active here with our museum. He's on our board of trustees and has done quite a bit of programming with us here over the last couple of years. The Festival of Lights for St. Lucia. This is in December 17th of 1974. The legend of St. Lucia is transacted at the Festival of Light each year at Augustana Lutheran Church to mark the beginning of the Christmas celebration in Sweden. You can see some people here. Kim Peterson was crowned St. Lucia, but attendants include Lynette Laros, Cynthia Sandblom, Denise Simon, Beth Berg, Julie and Teresa Egan, Marcy Forsling, Dawn Lawson, Cindy C., Betsy Anderson, and Laurel Plambeck. Here is the Producers Livestock Commission Association annual meeting held at the Municipal Auditorium. This photo by George Johnson. Now this particular photo was used in a progress edition of the Sioux City Journal, and the next few photos are going to take a look at some of these photos that were produced for this January 1972 issue, including this photograph of the construction of the Federal Plaza at 4th and Jackson Street. Financial institutions take place among leaders of the future. This is the Federal Plaza building being built by the Sioux City Federal Savings and Loan Association right over here at 4th and Jackson Streets. Additionally, this advertisement for the Western Paper and Supply Company showing their expansion over the years, 26 years of progress to services to Siouxland. These buildings are still standing at 6th and Floyd Boulevard. This is also from that same newspaper. This is Van's Uptown Florist at 27th and Pierce Street. And they take pride in their newly remodeled florist shop, and Van's will continue to feature the finest flowers at the most reasonable prices and free delivery service. There were several issues, several photographs of the new schools enthralling this media tour. So, according to the Sioux City Journal, the Little Red Schoolhouse is a thing of the past. Here we see representatives from the Sioux City News Media learning on Thursday morning while touring East, North, and West high schools with members of the Sioux City Board of Education. The image you see here is that tour going through the future West High School library. This is the swimming pool at North High School. All three of the new high schools built in between 1970 and 1972 had swimming pools. So during the academic year, pools in the three buildings will be filled only once to avoid backup water into the city residents and business establishments. Now, I don't know how the physics of how that works, but I am glad they planned on doing that way so people didn't have water backing up. And here's an image of the gymnasium at East High School. This tour is learning how eventually portable bleachers would be able to seat nearly 3,200 people for future athletic events. Also, the school gymnasium floors could also be used for eating hot school lunches because all three high schools, their gyms divide into 3 sections with folding walls or curtains. Here is an image of 2 youngsters helping Walter Jarvis of Jarvis Candies prepare for the upcoming Easter season, and got some yummy looking chocolate rabbits there. And Central can't be stopped. No way. This is one of my favorite images in this bunch. You've got the Central High School annex, you've got Central High School in the background, and then the vast majority of the student body, which at this time was approximately 2,000 students. Here they are cheering on the Little Maroons as the basketball team is headed to the AA basketball championship, hoping to be crowned as kind of a last little bit for Central High School, which would close about 3 months after this photograph was taken. And this is a controversial site for the new Indian Hills Shopping Center. So the City Planning and Zoning Commission approved a plan to build a shopping center in Indian Hills. The City Council initiated action to rezone the tract so it could not be used as a shopping center. I say the Planning and Zoning Board won out on that one because there is indeed an Indian Hills Shopping Center. Here is the Morningside College Livestock Marketing Department touring of the Sioux City Stockyards in 1972. Following that upkeeping in the stockyards, big changes are afoot at the Sioux City Stockyards. This image from April 9th, 1973, as you can read the caption, it looks like a bomb-devastated area, but it's progress. 3 weeks ago, tearing down of the north half of the cattle pens of the Sioux City Stockyards began. By the summer of 1974, a new covered cattle division, the largest in the United States, will be operating on this site, covering 12.7 acres. Moving over to the Sioux Honey Association, honey pouring in again. After a shortage of honey products, this image in 1973 shows Bernice Minter filling honey bottles from 55-gallon barrels of honey. They noted in the journal that it takes a colony of bees more than 6 years to produce that single 55-gallon barrel of honey. This photo by George Johnson. A look at Sioux City's water filtration plant from January of 1973. Here, plant supervisor Merle Larson is observing tanks where these filters lined with anthracite, coal, and sand assist in the removal of manganese and iron from the water, helping reduce rust. Dwight Hoff Sporting Goods Company moved from their old location at 517 Pierce Street to their new location at 714 Pierce Street, where they were located up until just a few years ago. Hoff had been here in business since 1934. This photo by George Johnson. And Johnson Hardware in 1973 moved from their old location at 405 Pearl Street into this new building at 603 Wesley Way, which was the former home of the A&P Grocery. Harlan Johnson, president of the company, said the 10,000 square feet of selling area will be a huge advantage over their roughly 6,000 square foot building that was on Pearl Street. This is another photo by George Johnson. Johnson Hardware had been around since 1937. George Bud Day, former POW, returning to Sioux City on April 18, 1973. Here he is greeted by a crowd of welcomers at the Sioux City Municipal Airport. And here we have preschoolers from the Jack and Jill Nursery School at Crescent Park United Methodist Church on Myrtle Street, picking up litter in Headington Park, which was just a few blocks from their nursery. They are learning the responsibility of all citizens to keep parks clean for others who wish to use them. This photo by George Johnson. And here we have the demonstration of a new typewriter. Here we have members of West High School business classes, and with their teacher being fascinated by a demonstration of a revolutionary editing typewriter. This machine is on display at the 80th anniversary of Sioux City Stationery. Those pictured standing are Debbie Howard, Mary Johnson, Marla Tiebin, Shirley Legou, and teacher Miss Mabel Hutchins. Seated are Renee Heuleman and Brenda Preston. This photo by George Johnson. In 1973 marked the completion of the extension of Hamilton Boulevard from West 7th Street south to Triview Avenue. This image depicts the ribbon cutting, and we have several members and presidents and past presidents of the Hamilton Urban Renewal Project area, including here we have William Meyer, Emery Hines, Reverend Oderick Ackwick from St. Boniface, and Dan Thompson marking this event. Here we have our public gardener. This is Retired Central High School principal Harold Stevens, who lived at 3060 Stone Park Boulevard, maintaining one of the traffic islands near Dearborn Boulevard and Stone Park Boulevard. He maintains the grass and removes the weeds. This photo by George Johnson. This is a scale model providing a look into possible downtown development in the Central Business District West. So here we have developer Gene Beam using a scale model to define some of the features of the redevelopment. At left is Charles Cannon III, president of the development company. The images you see there, the one kind of towards the top with the tall tower, that was kind of planned to be where Mid-America Energy is now. It was a 15-story tower. That project never happened. And the lower model, you can see parts of our museum building here, which was the former JCPenney's, and the what was to be the Brandeis department store, which also failed to get off the ground. A second Coney Island in the plaza is opened. So Sioux City's second Coney Island opened on July 31st on Hamilton Boulevard. Nick Margis, who owns and operates the store with his wife Daisy, felt there was a need for another restaurant like this in the Sunset Plaza area. Of course, his father, George, had operated a similar hot dog shop at 510 Nebraska Street for 52 years at this point. The Parkettes are getting new vehicles. So the Sioux City Parkettes will start riding their rounds for the first time Monday on these three-wheelers with cabs. They are Carol Connor, Barbara Stewart, and Kay Rice. The city was able to cut a few Parkettes. Now they could do their job with only 4 people in these new carts. This is just a shot of Lowe's Market, the garden center at 15th and Hamilton. I didn't have much to say about this other than when I was driving around, when I was a passenger in cars as a kid, I remember driving by this all the time and seeing the numerous lawn ornaments and stuff like that. Just kind of a fun place to see and revisit. So here we have mayors dedicating a site. We have South Sioux Mayor Ernest Albertson and Sioux City Mayor Paul Berger jointly breaking a bottle of champagne on a sign that marks the east abutment for the new Interstate 129 bridge. This is today the Sergeant Floyd Memorial Bridge down by the Bridgeport industrial area near the mall that crosses over the Missouri River. A potter will be featured mall artist. Artist Steve Kammerer of Sioux City demonstrates pottery building on a wheel, just as he'll be doing on Potter on the Mall program from July 30th to August 25th on Sioux City's new downtown mall. Here we have Mayor George Cole and others breaking ground for a new Cook Park. So we have here the 4th graders from Webster School, which is within the park, are Alan Cook, Darla Roulard, and Lori Ford. This photograph taken by George Johnson. This is another advertisement that came from the Journal. Hospital-based emergency ambulance service, 1974. So there are going to be 40 emergency medical technicians, and they've all completed their 81-hour emergency medical technical ambulance course approved by the State Health Department and the U.S. Department of Health, Education, and Welfare. Instruction was provided by local physicians. Another advertisement, this is KD Feed Company. In the Journal, it was written that KD Feed Company produces supplement blocks for all types of animal operations. Their line of protein blocks are designed to supplement forage. KD products are fed to herds as far away as Montana and Wyoming. Of course, this facility is still standing on the north side of the Gordon Drive Viaduct at Grand Avenue and Cunningham Drive. For any of you who don't know, Grand Avenue is technically still the city right-of-way that is under the Gordon Drive Viaduct. Here we see the Golden Knights arriving for the 1974 Rivercade celebration. They are greeted by Rivercade Commodore John Grove on the right and Tom Gherkin, Vice Commodore, on the left. And this one should be familiar to some of you if you've been through our museum. The museum gets streetcar fare box. Bill Davis, manager of the Sioux City Transit System, is donating to museum director Bill Diamond this streetcar fare box. This was all in collaboration with the Sioux City Museum, opening a new hall of Sioux City history and with a section on the city's transportation history. That fare box is currently on exhibit here in our trolley, in our permanent exhibit. Here we can see John Culver learning about Sioux City's wind cogenerators while campaigning for a seat in the United States Senate. Here's this Villa Avenue drug. This is Myers Villa Avenue Pharmacy at 1323 Villa Avenue. There are other photographs associated with this. There was actually a robbery there, but I couldn't find the article in the newspaper, so you just get that little description. I apologize for that. Here is Stan Evans welcoming over 5,000 Shriners to Sioux City. Stan Evans, co-chairman to the Director General of the Midwest Shrine Association Summer Session, welcomes visiting Shriners to the Northwestern National Bank's Big Top. This photo by Ed Porter. Ben Fish, the tireless tire man. So Ben Fish, pictured in the center, although 91 years old, is still involved with Ben Fish & Son Tires at 1400 Center Street. The now retired businessman began the tire operation approximately 60 years ago. It was actually about 55 years ago because I believe they started in 1919. Here you can see his son Louis, grandson Ron Fish, and grandson-in-law Elia Atlas, who are operating the business at this time in 1974. Here is Frank Griffith with the IPS Volkswagen. This 12.6 horsepower lead acid battery gives the vehicle an operating range of about 60 miles at a top speed of about 30 miles an hour. Griffith said it was enough for a normal working day. Not quite the origin of electric automobiles, but one step along the way. Here we see Navy men being served. In honor of Navy Mother's Day, members of the Sioux City Naval Mothers Club served dinner to the dozen men who are stationed at Sioux City's Naval Reserve. From the left, they are Chief Jerry Passarelli, Mrs. Carl Moberg, Gary Eisenbraun, and Mrs. Cecil Giel. And of course, there's always been the great imperial versus metric debate. Here, Northeast Nebraska teachers are learning to think metric. Jim Page, who is with Wayne State College, tells this group of Northeast Nebraska teachers how to think metric. Those attending are teachers from Northeast Nebraska, including Vicki Frankenson, Tom Schlesser, Georgia Anstein, and Donna Sees. And this image shows a children's Yom Kippur service at Mount Sinai Temple. The Yom Kippur is the most solemn day of the Hebrew calendar, and it concludes the holy high days. During Yom Kippur, personal faults are reviewed and God's forgiveness asked. This is Rabbi Albert Gordon. Pardon me. And here we have, ready for festival, Jim Goff, a Sioux City artist and teacher at East High School, displays a few of his watercolors, which are going to be featured at the Fall Art Festival in Peters Park. That one should look kind of familiar. This is Bank welcomes Mr. TNB. The Toy National Bank welcomes a new mascot to their staff. TNB. Mr. B will assist the Department of Public Relations, coordinating personal customer contact and friendliness. Of course, you can see by my computer over here, there was definitely a stuffed animal for the TNB B. I love this. Here is an interior of that Toy National Bank, which was about to open in 1974. This is, of course, today's Central Bank at 4th and Nebraska Streets today. 10,000 came to listen to Gerald Ford. So, President Ford lifts his hands with GOP senatorial candidate Dave Stanley and 6th District Congressman Wiley Main in support of their election bids. An estimated 10,000 people were at the municipal airport to see Gerald Ford. Here we have Leo Kuczynski and Mary Gardner pickin' and strummin'. They are advertising the upcoming Sioux City Symphony Orchestra season. In their first concert of the year will feature country singer Chet Atkins. And this historic mural is coming down at First National Bank. Margaret Ash, a freelance conservator of Des Moines, works on removing the 77-foot-long mural, which has graced the north wall of the lobby at First National Bank since 1951. And here we have an early representation of the new War Eagle Monument here in Sioux City on the west side. This is sculptor Peter Rudokas examining a copper model. Of course, the eventual model would be of weathering steel. At this time, the Woodbury County Conservation Board was planning to have the monument erected within the next year and hoping to raise $20,000 to $25,000 for construction. Here's just a fun picture of the West Junior High School marching band marching down West 4th Street. They're at West 4th and Rebecca. And Ted urges tax breaks for worker and farmer. The famous Kennedy charisma was put to work Sioux City Saturday as Massachusetts Senator Edward Ted Kennedy hit the campaign trail for Representative John Culver and other Democratic candidates. It's funny how times never seem to change. There was stress for the need for farmers and workers for relief from inflation, a problem that has not gone away for 50 years. Items for disaster relief. Here we see members of Morningside Presbyterian Church, Miss Eleanor Jones and Miss Frank Bryans, displaying the items they've collected for disaster relief with the Church Women United as they prepare to celebrate World Community Day. And here is the first shovelful of dirt at Diesel Specialties Incorporated. Here, Fred Schroeder is turning over some ground, and looking on are Paul Schaffhausen, Bill Turner, George Cole, Larry Book, and Lowry Smith. This is in the Bridgeport industrial area. All aboard for reading lessons. So reading is fun for first graders at Joy Elementary School in Morningside. They get a ride the Winnie the Pooh reading train. The conductor for the day is Stephanie Neckel, leading through rebus sentences. Passengers are from left, Tom Hansen, Mark City, Jill Anderson, and Stacy Davidson. The train was provided by Sears Roebuck and Company. This ribbon helps United Way. So we have the grand opening of Lynn's Hallmark Shop in Sunset Plaza. Here we can see the Lenhart, the Mr. and Mrs. Larry Lenhart, proprietors of the shop, Bill Turner, as well as, who am I missing? Oh, and George Cole. Time for the Journal's Little Yellow Dog auction. This is Goldie, a pedigreed golden Labrador and the mascot of the Little Yellow Dog Auction Club. She's ready to go up on the auction block at the Elks Club. She'll be sold to the highest bidder for the Yellow Dog auction, with proceeds going to the Journal's Goodfellow Fund. Here we have Alphabet Antics. 65 students from 3 sections of the West Junior High School speech class are presenting youngsters here at 6 schools. Here's a student presenting the play at Everett School as the letter C, dressing up as a camera. Several other events at West Side schools were done, including Hopkins, Crescent Park, Emerson, Roosevelt schools. Jim Ehlers was the West Junior speech instructor. And then, a before and after, from destruction to restoration. The image here on the right shows a vandalized Abraham Lincoln statue in the closed Central High School. It was restored, as you can see there on the right, by David West and Stan Evans, you can see there, of Northwestern National Bank. After this restoration, of course, this statue has been restored and is actually in the Lauren Callender Gallery on the first floor of City Hall. And a bonanza for charity. Here is Bill Turner in the center there, snipping the ribbon along for the Bonanza Sirloin Pit on Hamilton Boulevard. Others in the image are Gene Jones, Lewis Lawler, John Derby, George Kazos, Robert Lawler, and Floydine Sumner. So here we have politicians awaiting testimony. South Dakota Congressman Larry Pressler, Nebraska Representative Charles Thone, 6th District Representative Berkeley Bedell, and Iowa Representative Tom Harkin await testimony concerning reforms for livestock reporting services. Here they are pictured in the auction barn of the Sioux City Stockyards. These are the Skunk Hollow Singers. John Lasley of Bismarck, Tim Sauncesy of Macy, Louis Sheridan of Lincoln, Corwin Sauncesy of Macy, composed the Skunk Hollow Singers, who performed at the War Eagle Powwow Saturday at the Sioux City Municipal Auditorium. And here we have counselors at Gordon Chemical Dependency Center. They are there to help adolescents with alcohol and drug problems. There are Michael Beasley, James Dvorak, Jane Boyle, Marianne Thompson, and Jay Heath. And then fans are welcoming our local TV stars. Well, they're not so local anymore. They were from here. Former Sioux Cityans Fred Grandy and Sharon Spellman are television stars. Of course, Grandy played Gopher on The Love Boat, and Spellman playing the sister-in-law Joyce Benson on Angie. They returned to Sioux City as part of KCAU's TV promotion for the upcoming ABC television season. And this city truck filled a big hole in a city street. Here's one hole in a city street that has filled up in a hurry Monday afternoon. The city truck, while backing to dump sand into one hole, fell into another hole. The truck was extracted later that day. This is probably due to excessive amounts of rain over the preceding several weeks. An explosion destroys the Scandinavian Society's building. A portion of the east wall in the rear of the Scandinavian Society's Incorporated building at 314 Jones Street was blown out in an explosion Friday evening. Officials said the wall was destroyed and the whole building must come down. Here we have dancers discoing to raise funds. Saturday Night Fever hit all day Thursday at the Grandview Park Band Shell. As young people registered in the Parks and Recreation Department programs, danced to earn money to fight muscular dystrophy. Young people collected pledges from the public, and several businesses donated food and prizes. This photo by Ed Porter, 1979. Here we have blue ribbon winner, relaxing. This is John Ney, 13-year-old, relaxing at the O'Brien County Fair in Primgar, all tuckered out after competing in the beef cattle class. There were more events coming up at that fair, including a horse show, superstar showmanship contest, livestock sale, and teen dance. This photo also by Ed Porter. I know it says 1980. That's still technically in the 70s. Here's a photo of the KD Ranch Arena at 3610 Highway 75. So here's one thing I did not know about this facility until maybe about 2 months ago, and since then I've seen about 1,000 photos of it. So that's that. Here, Clayton is presented the Palmer Award. Karen Clayton, left of Battle Creek, was honored for academic and extracurricular achievements at a monthly meeting of the Siouxland chapter of the National Federation for the Blind. Karen was presented the Palmer Award by chapter president Rich Crawford. And big celebrations at the KD Stockyard Station. Levi Van Meter, clown, and KD Stockyard Station tour guide hands out balloons for KD's Freedom Festival, which is a 2-day festival held in July 1st and 2nd, but this is also part of the larger 3-week-long Balloon Days celebration at KD Station. Along with these festivities, we can see Glenn and Gary's Smokehouse Pub, a pizza eating contest. That looks like fun. Some of the close-ups of those pizzas look really good too. They're like ultra deep dish pizzas. I mean, they're like 3 inches tall. It's almost like a casserole. The Treasury Department honors Zenith Savers. Here, William Turner, volunteer bond chairman of the Woodbury County, congratulates Betty Egie and Thomas Stowers, the 2 employees at Zenith Radio who spearheaded their 1974 savings bond campaign. This house fire injures 4. Smoke billows from the windows of a burning duplex at 819 12th Street. 4 persons, including small children visiting their grandmother, Mrs. Lawrence Meyer, were injured in the blaze. Firemen say the blaze was apparently started when a television set on the ground floor apartment burst into flames. How terrifying is your TV bursting into flames? The house was owned by the Valborg-Hedenberg estate. It was extensively damaged, however, but I will mention this house actually was restored and is still a house. This is reminiscent of our weather today, the Arctic world of Siouxland. If it's snow you're looking for, you won't have to go to the North Pole. This aerial image taken by the Journal's Ed Porter shows the situation at the south part of South Sioux City, Nebraska. This was, of course, part of the January 1975 blizzards. Here we have Margaret the Musketeer. I just love some of this, the last line of this. Bogdan, Bubba Podwysocki Center, drops the puck between Musketeers hockey coach John Seville and City Councilwoman Margaret Prawl to signal the opening of the downtown ice rink on the 4th Street Mall. When Mrs. Prawl asked what she should do, Bubba told her, "Hit John in the ankles with your stick." Changing topics just a little bit, here is an advertisement for the holiday in Greece. So here we have Gus Demetroulis keeping an eye on cooks for the holiday in Greek celebration. He's overlooking Kirk Michaels, Tom Elitis, and Sam Raftis. And then just a couple fun images of businesses past. This is Kmart and Hinky Dinky at 5700 Gordon Drive. And downtown, the Walgreens Supercenter at 100 Pierce Street. I like this one because you can still see the Wigwam Grill where Burger King is now located. Here up in Sunset Plaza is Woolco, 3025 Hamilton Boulevard. I know this is a popular one. I was too young to remember this one, but this is the Red Onion Drive-In at 1625 Hamilton Boulevard. Here we have funds presented on March 15th of 1975. Gary Lipschutz, general manager of the Sioux City Musketeers hockey team of Sioux City, presents checks of $1,750 to Gail Casterline of the Volunteer Bureau and to Joe Weir for the Cancer Society. Funds were raised recently at a Musketeers game. And here we have a boat in dry dock. Getting into the spirit of things, the annual dry dock dinner dance at the Oasis. From left, we have Mrs. Olga Toll, Mrs. Madeline Burke, Mrs. Marge Cool, and Mrs. Dorothy Post. The dance is the kickoff to the boating season for the Missouri River Boat Club. And here is an honor for the late Judge John Hutchinson. Honorary pallbearers lead the funeral procession of Associate District Judge John Hutchinson through a Sioux City Police Department honor guard at St. Boniface Catholic Church. Honorary bearers included a lot of judges, including Lawrence McCormick, D.E. McIntaffer, Donald Pendleton, George Davis, C.F. Stillwell, and Associate Court Judge John Fashman. John Hutchinson died Saturday of an apparent heart attack. And these individuals with the Volunteer Bureau are awarded at the Normandy Restaurant. Receiving plaques for outstanding service as volunteers are Robert Kaufman, Louise Knotson, Cassie Drop, Patricia Haddad, Ted Linka, and Riverside Community Action Group was also honored with an award that was accepted by the club's president, Miss Catherine Sowen, on the right. Here, two nations meet. Norwegian journalist Odd Hatloy meets two representatives of the Winnebago tribe of Nebraska at the Hilton Inn to discuss how their respective ancestors met here over 100 years ago. Hatloy was in Sioux City gathering information and writing stories about Norwegian immigration to this area. Here, Reuben Snake and Miss Roberta Hall invited Hatloy to spend several hours at the reservation. They discussed minority groups and different ways of life of the Indian and white people. Photo by George Johnson. And here we have the White Horse Mounted Patrol In activities in the Sioux City Skywalks. So Prince leads the Skywalk Parade. Prince Ed, Wonder Horse of the White Horse Mounted Patrol, bows graciously as he makes his way through the new skywalk from the Northwestern National Bank into the municipal parking ramp at 5th and Jackson Streets. Trainer Dick Wallen is at the controls. Prince Ed led a group of well-wishers through the skywalk, which was constructed by the bank to tie into the Central Business District East Urban Renewal Area. This photo by George Johnson, and if you have a keen eye, you'll note there's another photographer in this image. George Lindblade is there on the left. Milk carton fleet. Here, youngsters paddle furiously in the Cimarina Harbor for Rivercade milk carton boat race. From different age groups, winners were Travis Olson, Linda Roach, David Wagner, Mark Roach. Larry Steele won the Commodore's Award for Most Original Boat, and Wilson F. Mills Jr. won the Admiral's Award for the Most Cartons Used. This photo by Ed Porter. If you happen to be here in our exhibits this last summer about Sioux City celebrations, we actually have David Wagner's milk carton boat in storage here at the museum, and it was on exhibit this summer. Every litter bit, hurts. This was a story about the garbage created by people tossing aluminum pop cans and plastic pop bottles. So among those employees by Chesterman and Company this summer to help pick up trash throughout the city are, from the left, Milo Bergeson, Mike Hallbauer, Mark King, Kevin Drew. This photo was by George Johnson. And here, Leah is going for a ride. This is from 1976, just before the United States bicentennial. But Sioux City's bicentennial belle, Leah Irvine, whose 100th birthday will be July 4th, begins her celebration early with Al Palmer's diminutive stagecoach behind a 6-pony hitch. The coach and ponies had been with the patrol for 8 years. Miss Irvine was born in Sioux City on July 4th, 1876. Here is construction of the Iowa Public Service George Neal Power Plant, number 4. And here we see a site that was familiar then and just as it is familiar today. Janice Stoddard ignores the cold weather and clangs her bell loudly in downtown Sioux City as she appeals to passersby to donate to the Salvation Army kettle. She and fellow workers will be a familiar sight for the next few months, braving snow and freezing temperatures in their efforts to help the less fortunate this Christmas season. And in this image are 2 longtime helpers, including Gertrude Fisher, second from the left, Secretary-Treasurer of the Gospel Mission, and William Willinston on the far right. Both are helping pack candy for annual Christmas party and dinner at the mission. Both had helped with this event for many years. Here we have 2 gifts being presented from the estate of Mrs. W.W. Barrett, presented by Bob DeLoss in the center on behalf of the Sioux City Bird Club to Morningside College's biology department and the Isaac Walton League. You can see there the representative from those groups, including Harold Rundle of Morningside College and Alden Erskine of the Endowment Fund, and also a Bird Club member. And it is now currently jazz band season. 33 bands to compete at the Tri-State Festival. This was at Morningside College. This is the South Sioux City Jazz Band under the direction of David Snakenberg. This is one of 33 bands to play in the Tri-State Jazz Festival. The Nebraskas took 3rd place in Division AA. And Mrs. Etta Greider honored. Etta Greider, accept a certificate of appreciation from Mrs. Carrie Williams at a tea given in Mrs. Greider's honor at the Sanford Community Center. Greider is the first Sioux City life member of the National Association for the Advancement of Colored People, the NAACP, and has been active in community affairs. Mrs. Williams is the president of the NAACP here in Sioux City. Alf's Manufacturing had moved to their new plant in the Bridgeport Industrial Area at 2501 Murray Street. This is their manufacturing floor. This is an image of Fullerton Lumber Company on East 4th Street, 2210 4th Street. An interior of State Steel Supply Incorporated at 214 Court Street, just in case if you've ever wondered what is in those warehouses, it's big spools of steel. The old Earl May at 3801 Gordon Drive. Sioux City Crockery right across the street from us on Jackson Street, 420 Jackson Street. Sioux City Stationery at 413 Pierce Street. I love these business interiors because a lot of our older photography doesn't show many interiors. We usually get exteriors, so it's nice to see some cool indoor shots like these. The American Association of University Women form a new study group. Displaying some of the craft ideas from this study group are Mrs. Bev Wilson and Mrs. Sherry Campbell. These items will be on display at the membership coffee at Dimmitt Hall on the Morningside College campus. And this is shortly after the death of Elvis. We have the band Family here for a show at the Runway, a tribute to the King, Elvis Presley, on Friday and Saturday, 9 o'clock. And that is kind of the conclusion of the images we're going to be looking at. I did want to take just a minute to again thank our volunteers who have been very actively working on scanning, cataloging, and indexing our Sioux City Journal collections of all sorts. So thank you very much to those volunteers, and thank you to all of you who came here to learn just a little bit about Sioux City in the 1970s.